live in Tel Aviv with the very latest on the war with Iran. Hi, Trey.
Todd, Carly, good morning. Iran has indicated they are laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Reports indicate, though, there are less than 10 of these sea mines placed already. U.S. Central Command taking offensive action against this threat to global shipping lanes, saying that they struck at least 16 mine-laying vessels belonging to the Iranian regime. As this continues, it's a major threat to the global shipping lanes, understanding that 20% of the world's oil passes through this area. President Trump taking to Truth Social, saying in a statement, quote, "If for any reason mines were placed and they are not removed forthwith, the military consequences to Iran will be at a level never seen before. If, on the other hand, they remove what may have been placed, it will be a giant step in the right direction." Amid concerns in the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, there are ongoing efforts to weaken the Iranian regime as they launch new ballistic missile fire at Israel and Gulf countries. You can see earlier today some of this missile fire being intercepted overhead. Sirens were sounding at least 4 times throughout the night amid incoming Iranian attacks. The U.S. and Israel are striking back, a significant amount of destruction being caused to the Iranian regime. You can see here some video from the Iranian Red Crescent Society on Tuesday in the aftermath of those strikes that are taking place not just around the capital of Tehran, but also across western Iran. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu weighing in on the ongoing operation, saying this.
We are in a campaign against a cruel enemy that wants to destroy us. We crushed their nuclear and ballistic capabilities in Operation Rising Lion. Afterwards, instead of learning the lesson, they tried to redevelop them and bury them deep underground in such a way that we could no longer target them.
As the Israelis are looking east, they're also looking north to the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, launching new strikes on the Dakhla neighborhood of southern Beirut, also striking a number of launching positions belonging to the terror organization. A top spokesperson for the Israeli military weighed in on those operations against Iran's largest proxy.
In recent days, we have identified that Hezbollah is trying to increase the firing towards northern communities and expand the range of fire to additional areas in the country. Hezbollah is taking heavy blows. We are deepening the damage to its capabilities with each passing day and increasing the pressure on
it. Choose from thousands of realistic voices to use in your content. Change the way you record podcasts, voiceovers, and branded content with the #1 AI-powered voice-generating technology. Stop searching for the perfect voice and stop wasting time re-recording take after take. Try 11 Labs for free and start elevating your content today.
Officials here believe that the war between Israel and Hezbollah could even last longer than the war between Israel and Iran. Preparations are being made, and Israeli media reports that the Golani Brigade of Israel that was currently operating inside Gaza will be moved to the northern border in preparation for more offensive action. Guys?
Wow, very interesting there. And Trey, Iran is said to be increasing their use of these cluster munitions. And these are warheads that burst open in high altitude, and then they scatter dozens of smaller bomblets across a wide area. How much of a challenge will this be for Israel's air defenses moving forward?
It's a great question, and we've seen these munitions used here on the ground. We were at a site earlier this week where one of those cluster munitions slammed into an apartment building in the heart of Tel Aviv. In that particular incident, there was a single Iranian ballistic missile that exploded above the skies of Tel Aviv, but 12 different impact sites. They can have dozens of these munitions on the top of a ballistic missile, and it can cause significant injury or death to the people below. We know that yesterday 2 people were killed in Israel during one of those attacks, and we do expect the Iranians to continue with these types of attacks, understanding that they are limited in their ability to strike Israel and Gulf countries as the Israelis and Americans go after these launching positions. Todd, Carly?
And these types of weapons are also banned under international law. But again, who expects Iran to follow international law? Trey Ying's live for us. Trey, thank you. With that, let us bring in former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray. Alex, let's go back to the mines for a second. We've degraded Iran's Navy. Now it appears like we are well on our way to degrading their mine-laying capability. So what else can Iran do to block the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, they're running out of options. I mean, the reality is the U.S. Navy has trained for decades to be able to keep the strait open. The Iranians have some asymmetrical capabilities, so think additional proxy and terrorist group options. But we're really starting to show, I think when you saw yesterday the U.S. Navy successfully leading tankers through the straits, I think you're starting to see the U.S. is really showing that we have naval mastery in the most critical choke point in the region. And the Iranians are increasingly, they certainly have some asymmetric options, as I said, but we're increasingly showing that they're going to have a limited ability going forward to use what they've long said was kind of their ace in the hole.
So Iran is said to have already begun laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Is there a way that the United States can find where those mines are to ensure tankers and vessels safe passage through the strait?
We do have some pretty sophisticated counter-mine capabilities that are resident with the U.S. Navy. This is some of the most dangerous naval operations in naval warfare, but we have this capability. The U.S. has been training to do this for a long time. This is something, if you remember, in the 1980s, this is something that became an issue in the Iran-Iraq war when there were significant mine issues going on in that part of the world that international maritime traffic had to traverse. There is a lot of capacity for us to be able to deal with this, and I think President Trump is showing in those strikes that your reporter just talked about, the president's showing he is not going to tolerate the Iranians holding international maritime traffic hostage as part of this cat and mouse game they're playing.
Big picture here. Iran apparently has a new leader, but we have not seen him. Obviously, he is in hiding because the moment he gets seen, he will get killed. But how effectively can Iran's new leader lead the country, lead the military troops in an operation like this if he's never seen?
Yeah, the short answer is I don't think that there's going to be much effectiveness there. And we may need to start thinking about whatever the current post-Khamenei, the elder regime is, as something that's more temporary. Because I think what the president has made very clear is that he is looking for someone, even as we're degrading their operational capabilities in mines and drones and missiles, he's looking for an Iranian leader who understands that the chessboard has changed, and an Iranian leader who understands that the time of trying to pull us back and play whack-a-mole in the Middle East is over under President Trump's watch. And I think whoever that leader is, whether it's Khamenei the Younger or someone else, they're going to have a quick choice to make in the next couple of days about whether they're willing to kind of take the losses, move on, or if they're going to keep trying to play this game. I think if that's the approach they want to take, they have chosen the wrong American administration.
Okay, and Alex, finally, forecasting things that could come. The New York Post has a headline, "Why the Iran War May Come Down to Control of One Tiny Island." They go on to say an island 1/3 the size of Manhattan controls virtually all Iranian crude oil exports. And experts say its fate could be essential to President Trump's endgame with Tehran. They're talking about Karg Island, which handles roughly 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. And taking it out means that it would cut the military budget significantly. It would also really plug up basic services that keep Iran society functioning. But doing so and controlling that island apparently comes with significant military challenges. So what happens here?
Yeah, look, Karg Island is something that the U.S. military, as with the Straits, we've been aware for a long time that that's a key choke point for the Iranians, both economically and militarily. The U.S. military, as well as our Israeli counterparts, know very well what those capabilities are that need to be brought to bear to neutralize that. And I think President Trump, one of the things that he's looking at right now, most likely, is he's got a series of options up and down the range of escalation. And I think what they're likely thinking, Carly, is what are the Iranians willing to do to de-escalate this and to give the United States the strategic wins that we have to have, or things like Karg Island are very much going to be on the table.
An ever-changing situation in Iran. Alex Gray, as always, thank you for your amazing insight. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews.